Okay, so first chapter, question number 16, capital market expectation. Uh, although I gave you the complete case study, उसका कुछ मतलब नहीं था complete case study का इसमें. I mean, the question was self in it. I mean, there was no requirement to go to the case study. So the currency is fixed right now. I mean, the pegging is there right now with respect to the country Northland, and they are having unrestricted capital flows. Now, what does this mean? Okay, before I ask you guys to put your answer in the chat section, I start evaluating it. Understand that key if India and US, okay, they are pegging their currency. For example, the currency will remain like $1 equal to 100 rupees. For example, for the easy guys, we are almost reaching there actually. $1 equal to 100 rupees. Let's say this is going to be fixed. Okay, and there's an unrestricted capital flow. Matlab there's no restriction. And let's say India is offering interest rate of 10 percentage and US is offering interest rate of 2 percentage. Now what's going to happen in this case? Simple, look at it. I'll borrow from the US where the interest rates are lower. I'll take that money and invest over here. I mean, first I'll convert. Let's say I'll borrow $100. Let's that'll be easy. Okay, $1, $100. Okay, I'll borrow $100. Okay, I'll convert that $100 to 10,000 rupees, and then I'll invest that 10,000 rupees over here, lend or invest whatever. So 10,000 rupees Q per 10% interest I'll get, so that will become 11,000 rupees in a year. And now the good thing is that the dollar is going to remain fixed. After a year also the dollar will be at 100 rupees only. So at that time I'll convert that 11,000 rupees as a dollar one is going to remain at 100 rupees. So 11,000 rupees would be equal to $110. Out of that, I pay that $100 and I pay the $2 ka interest also. So I borrowed $100. I need to pay $102. I have $110. I will have $8 of profit, arbitrage profit. Okay, so what's going to happen over here is that more and more people will try to do this. More and more people try to borrow from US and start lending in India. So what's going to happen? The borrow in US. What will happen? The demand for loans will increase, and the interest rate in US will start to increase. And as people will start lending in India, the supply of money in India will start to increase and interest rates will start to decrease. And then slowly, the interest rates would be made equal. I mean, interest rates market will make sure that the interest rates are going to be equal. Okay. This is like a simple normal economics. This is simple. There's no rocket science in that. I mean, simply अगर तुम्हें पता है कि इंडिया का exchange rate depreciate नहीं होगा, the rupee will not depreciate, and rupee is offering a higher interest rate. Simple strategy. Borrow from dollars where the interest is lower and invest in India where the interest is higher, and you are no and because the currency is fixed, there is no possibility of currency depreciation. So you're going to be earning that spread. You're going to be earning that क्या बोलते हैं उसका spreading. You're going to be earning the spread between these two countries, the two interest rate. But then what's going to happen as you keep on doing that, you keep on borrowing the money from US and others also keep on borrowing the money from US. The interest rate in US which are lower will start to increase, and interest rate in India which are higher where you keep on lending over there. So the interest rate in India will start to go down and then they will become equal. Okay. See, if the interest rates wouldn't have been fixed, if ये interest rate एक साल के बाद is not gonna be fixed, then people wouldn't be having the guts to do this. Like the people won't be borrowing the money from US and lending the money in India when they are not sure about what could be the interest, what could be the exchange rate at the time of converting back to the dollars. So basically, because the exchange rate is kept fixed, that's the reason the people are having this kind of confidence to do this. Okay, and one more thing over there, the interest rate in India may not become equal to 5, it could become something around 5.5 percentage, giving a little bit of a profit margin because borrowing in the US at a rate of 5 percentage and investing in India at a rate of 5.5 percentage will give you 0.5 percentage extra return, but that is for a risk. What if this exchange rate, which is supposed to be pegged, this exchange rate, which is supposed to be fixed, what if the government of India the RBI of India and government of India cancels this peg, what there's a possibility that the peg could get cancelled. And hence the weaker currency, like in this case India, will always have a little bit of a higher premium compared to the stronger currency. So logically there shouldn't have any gap, because if you are sure कि ये peg तो maintain होगा ही, so in that case borrow at 5%, lend at 5%, there shouldn't have been any arbitrage. But अगर ये अगर 6 है, then there would have been arbitrage because exchange rates are going to be remaining fixed. So to avoid that arbitrage, this is how it should be. However, because there's a possibility that this peg could break, there is always some kind of a premium which is going to be there, some extra kind of a return would be there to reward the investors, to reward the arbitrageurs for getting exposed to the risk of the peg getting cancelled. How many of you were able to recollect all this? What I'm trying right now. This is all exactly what was tested in that example. रेजान ये सारा किस किस को properly याद आया था? Chapter 1 of economics, and I think chapter it was in level 2 also. Rezan, if you were able to recollect this, I want to see. Good, good. Okay, good, good. All right. So now, let's go back. So under each scenario, so I'll put it like marks wise. I will put it like just give me scenario one ka answer. Okay, I want to check only scenario one ka answer. So give the answer to me in the chat section, and I'll give it maybe 2 marks or 3 marks, depends करता है. 2 marks देता हूँ. Okay, as of now I'm gonna giving 2 marks to it. So anyone who has done that, please copy the answer. Just for the scenario one, दीपाशा का आंसर आ गया. Okay, till the time I say copy, don't copy the answer, no, because I wouldn't be checking the chat section at that time. तो अभी just सीधा वन का दीपाशा का आंसर, I'm just gonna check it. Okay, that's her answer. Okay, before that I'll tell my answer. Okay, I didn't tell you my answer. Okay, shift in the policy restricting the capital flows. Now, understanding the capital flows are going to be restricted, then what I just mentioned right now कि मैं इसका आंसर थोड़ा दूसरी जगह डालता हूँ, एक सेकंड, जो लिखा है वो you'll understand it. ओके, देन ये जो है कि यहाँ से मैं बोरो करूंगा जहाँ पे इंटरेस्ट लोअर है, एंड यहाँ पे लेंड करूंगा इंटरेस्ट हायर ओवर देयर, ये पॉसिबल ही नहीं होगा इफ देर इज अ रिस्ट्रिक्टेड कैपिटल फ्लोज. So the moment is a restricted capital flows, the borrowing at a lower interest rate in US and lending at a higher interest rate in India is not going to be possible. So what's going to happen over there? India could consist. I mean, India के interest rate and US के interest rate may not merge. That means India could have a different interest rate from the US if we restrict the capital flows. And why would we have a different interest rate? I mean, what is the agenda of like having the different interest rate from the US is because US has its own economic conditions, India has its different economic condition. We want like inflation and GDP growth rates could be different in different countries. The GDP growth rate and inflation in US could be different from India. And hence we want to keep that interest rate, which is suitable to manage the inflation in India or to support the GDP growth rate of India, which is what is commonly called as, anyone go for it? That word I'm looking for it, which is what is commonly called as, we want to have नहीं,
Parity.
independent monetary policy. If you want to have independent monetary policy, then we need to have either floating exchange rate. Like if we could keep the exchange rate floating, then there's absolutely fine that we could keep a higher interest rate than the US. If we give a higher interest rate than the US, people from US will not borrow from there and invest in India because they know the currency of India could depreciate because the exchange rate is floating. So if we want to have a different interest rate from the US to pursue independent monetary policy, condition number one is you keep exchange rate floating. Or number two, if you want to keep the exchange rate peg, do not allow them to invest. Restrict the capital flow. Even if they're seeing that ki, okay, their country interest is lower, in our country the interest rate is higher, US interest rate is lower, India interest rate is higher. They want to borrow and invest, but they can't because the capital flows are restricted. Okay, so this is a second thing, and that is what was being tested in that particular scenario one. If we are going to go towards shifting away from the unrestricted and shifting towards the restricting capital flows, what's going to be happening is what I would have written like this. Okay, I'll check Dipasha's answer, but what I would have written is the arbitrageurs won't be able, or people wouldn't be able to borrow, or arbitrages bhi chalega, wouldn't be able to borrow from the country where the interest rates are lower and invest in the country where the interest rates are higher. And hence the interest rates wouldn't have merged, okay, or interest rate wouldn't have converged to each other, and hence it is possible to have independent monetary policy. अगर ये वर्ड आया है इंडिपेंडेंट मॉनेटरी पॉलिसी, और कन्वर्जेंस ऑफ इंटरेस्ट रेट वोंट हैपन बिकॉज पीपल वोंट बी एबल टू बोरो एंड इन्वेस्ट बिकॉज ऑफ रिस्ट्रिक्शंस ऑन द कैपिटल फ्लोज, ये दोनों में से कुछ भी एक वर्ड आया, आई गिव फुल मार्क्स. Either independent monetary policy or the interest rate will not converge. This is what exactly the examiner would be looking for it. Okay, I'm assuming that I'm an examiner and I'll be looking for it like this. Let's see what she has mentioned. Yeah, perfect answer. That this is what exactly I was expecting. Monetary policy gains more independence. Interest rate in whatever can diverge because arbitrage by investors becomes limited. Perfect answer. She gets 2 and 2 for this. मतलब अब मुझे आगे का रीड करने की जरूरत नहीं है unless she has blundered आगे. Okay, but अगर उसने आगे का नहीं भी लिखा होता था, if should have stopped the answer over here, she would have got full marks. Fixed exchange rate can still be maintained because capital controls reduce pressure from blah blah blah. Therefore, interest rate linkage weakens. ठीक है, ये वर्ड भी अच्छा था. Okay, and exchange rate linkages remain strong. Fixed exchange rate maintained. So, okay, so she gets 2 and 2 for this. Good, Dipasha. Anyone else? सोहम का आंसर मैं चेक करता हूँ अभी. सोहम ने जो लिखा था आंसर. Okay. Eastern England currency will appreciate. No, fixed exchange rate है ना, तो currency will not appreciate. They have not changed that to floating, so currency will not appreciate as the state capital will be lower the capital in the country, lower the capital in the country. No, 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 no. 0 and 2. So is it clear? Currency will not appreciate because there is the fixed exchange rate is still there. They not changed it to floating. They just started restricting the capital flows. So I'm clear?
Sir, sorry to break you in between. It was for scenario two. I actually wrote it
अच्छा
in
मैंने
scenario
सिनारियो
one.
1
Sorry
देखा.
for that.
ठीक है, ठीक है, ठीक है.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Sorry.
नो प्रॉब्लम. हामिद बोलो.
So like I have written what's the impact on the exchange rate and currency का ये appreciate हुआ या depreciate हुआ. Like I have written if the capitals are restricted, then the supply of money would be lower into the country because of which the interest rate would be higher. So I've written in that way.
एंड कहाँ पे तुम्हारा आंसर?
So I've written all the scenarios. That's why I've pasted all them.
मुझे सिर्फ सिनारियो 1 का चाहिए अब.
That's why, yeah, that's what I'm telling. I've written that capital restricted है because of which inflows of capital from the foreign investors are lower.
गुड.
So because of which the interest rates are higher.
ओके फाइन.
Because of
और
lower
इंडिपेंडेंट
supply
मॉनेटरी
of
पॉलिसी
money.
नहीं मेंशन किया तुमने. So
No,
yeah,
I've not written.
interest
हाँ.
rates are going to be higher and exchange rate linkages, exchange rates. I mean, ये point मैंने भी नहीं बोला actually explanation में कि the exchange rate linkages मतलब the basically the exchange rate will remain stable, which Dipasha has mentioned about it. And interest rate linkages, tomorrow interest rate will be higher because you are assuming that they were investing. What if that they were like their interest rate was lower and they were investing outside?
No, so like I've thought in that way
ये
that if
assumption
the
लिखना पड़ता था. like, जैसे तुम
हाँ.
इंडिया पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू अज्यूम कर रहे हो कि जहां पे एक सप्लाई कैपिटल का कम है तो बाहर से पैसा आ रहा है. You
हम्म.
it would have been also the case that yeah, उस country में interest rates are lower and they were borrowing and investing abroad, and now because of capital flows being restricted, this will not be possible, so the supply will increase and interest rate could go down. तो तुम्हें ये
हम्म.
लिखना था, अज्यूम कर मतलब assumption लिखना चाहिए था that assuming that this country has capital deficiency. Okay, ये point
हम्म.
mentioned as and it borrows the capital from abroad, and now because the capital flows will be restricted, the abroad capital will not come, supply will go down, interest rates will increase.
Yeah. So, so I've written because of higher interest
सुनो
rates.
सुनो 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 सुनो.
हाँ.
बिकॉज वो अजम्पशन तुमने नहीं लिखा, ये मुझे अभी पता चल रहा है कि तुम क्या बोल रहे हो, बट
हाँ.
एग्जाम में नहीं पता चलेगा ना तो तुम क्या बोल रहे हो.
हाँ.
तो बिकॉज इसने अजम्पशन नहीं लिखा, इधर ही विल नॉट अंडरस्टैंड व्हाट यू मेंशन और प्रोबब्ली ही विल थिंक ओवर इट एंड प्रोबब्ली विल कट 1 mark. ठीक है, गो फॉर
Okay. Sir, and I've written that because of higher interest rates, the business loans become expensive, so the profit goes down. So because of which currency depreciate because other investors don't want to invest into the
करेंसी
country.
डेप्रिशिएट लिखा तो और मार्क करेगा,
हाँ हाँ,
बिकॉज
that's what I'm telling.
बिकॉज दे आर मेंशन कि वी आर हैविंग द पेग, कहाँ पे गया, वी आर मेंटेनिंग द पेग, so currency
हाँ,
deficit is not gonna be like rewarded, it is gonna cut the marks.
तो
ठीक है, हाँ वो तो
सो
क्या
तो
बोल,
इंटरेस्ट इंक्रीज होता है उसका भी कोई चांस ही नहीं ना, बिकॉज इफ द करेंसी इज
इंटरेस्ट
फिक्स।
रेट का वो राइट है, इंटरेस्ट इंटरेस्ट इनका ये मैं बोला कि इंटरेस्ट रेट कुड बी डिफरेंट एंड इंटरेस्ट रेट कुड इंक्रीज, ये भी पॉइंट राइट है अगर तुमने लिखा है assumption that this country has capital deficiency and it was borrowing the money from abroad, which is going to be stopping right now, so foreign supply of capital will stop and because of that interest rates will increase, ये लॉजिक है लिखा तो it is right.
ओके
What I just mentioned, what Dipajan ne jo mentioned kiya tha, that is simply that was basically that if the capital supply stops, then the interest rate convergence will be stopping. तो हमने ये नहीं बोला कि interest rate will go down या go up. So wherever if the interest rate is lower, the capital was flowing abroad, that will stop. Okay, so as the interest rate was
गुड।
lower and the capital was flowing abroad, the interest rate could have increased. Like as the supply of capital would have gone abroad, so interest rate would have increased. That will stop. So interest rate will remain lower. Convergence won't happen, and hence RBI would be able to maintain the independence over the monetary policy.
ओके परफेक्ट।
Okay, चलो 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 next. Okay, scenario number two. Put the answer in the chat section. Shift in the policy towards allowing the currency to float. So this time the exchange rate is gonna remain, sorry, it's not gonna remain the same. So I'll first put my answer. Ki as the currency will not remain fixed, the arbitrageurs are going to be worried about currency depreciation. I mean, again, assuming that the country has a higher interest rate. Okay, I'll have to put like this. Assuming that the country has a higher interest rate and it was attracting the capital from abroad where the interest rates are lower. Okay, but now there is a possibility that currency could depreciate and hence the foreigners or the foreign supply of capital is going to become lesser. And because of that foreign supply of capital becoming lesser, the interest rates are gonna remain higher. I mean, interest rate could be different from the interest rate of that the currency. So interest rate could be different. ये important point है. And again, that means that the country is able to maintain the independence over the monetary policy. ओके सो वही बोला था कि इधर अगर आपको मॉनेटरी पॉलिसी इंडिपेंडेंट रखना है तो इधर करेंसी फ्लक्चुएट करने दो या फिर कैपिटल फ्लोज को रिस्ट्रिक्ट करो, विच इज एक्जैक्टली सिनेरियो 1 एंड सिनेरियो 2 वाज टॉकिंग अबाउट. सो अगेन यहाँ पे वही पॉइंट है कि मॉनेटरी पॉलिसी इंडिपेंडेंस ये वाला पॉइंट लिखना है. या फिर तुम मीत वाला लॉजिक बता रहे हो तो ये एक्सप्लेन करो कि अज्यूमिंग दैट दिस कंट्री हैज अ हायर इंटरेस्ट रेट and capital is in deficiency, so it was taking the money from the foreign countries where the interests are lower, and now those countries are going to be worried, those investors will be worried that the currency could depreciate. Earlier the currency was fixed, so now they would worried about the currency could depreciate, so जो foreign supplies आ रहा था that will become lesser, and because of that the supply becoming lesser would mean that the interest rates will remain higher. The interest rates which are supposed to go down and converge, they are not going to happen. So interest rate would be different, interest rate would remain higher compared to the interest rate in the other country, and because of which we'll be able to address our own issues of inflation and GDP growth rate. We'll be able to have independence over monetary policy. इज इट क्लियर रीजन प्लीज, लाइक जो मैंने बोला मतलब जिनको ये आंसर नहीं आया, लाइक बट व्हाट आई एम सेइंग, इज इट क्लियर रीजन प्लीज, आई एम गोना इवैल्यूएट द आंसर्स ऑफ अदर्स बट इज इट क्लियर राइट. ओके, तो जेनी का आंसर देखते हैं एंड मुर्तजा का आंसर देखते हैं. ओके, आई एम कॉपिंग जेनी आंसर. दिस इज जेनीज आंसर एंड हमारे पास सोहम का आंसर ऑलरेडी था जो पहला वाला था, एंड दिस इज मुर्तजा आंसर. अरे कहाँ गया, तो पहले सोहम का आंसर करते इवैल्यूएट. ये वाला सोहम का आंसर था. Currency will appreciate as restricted capital flows will lower the capital in the country, will appreciate as a restricted capital flow will lower the capital into the country या out of the country. ये क्लियर नहीं, अगर ये into the country है तो अगर कैपिटल नहीं आएगा तो करेंसी विल डेप्रिशिएट, एंड अगर ये आउट ऑफ द कंट्री है तो कैपिटल बाहर नहीं जाएगा, so as the capital will not go down then currency will appreciate. and will have more demand for it than the supply of foreign capital. Okay, I'll ask Soham to explain this. मुझे नहीं समझा. तो कैपिटल इनटू द लिख रहे थे आउट ऑफ द लिख रहे थे.
Sir, into the country.
इनटू द
I
कंट्री.
mean, for
If you mention, if the restrictions are going to uh, limit the supply of capital into the country, तो जो बाहर से पैसा अंदर आ रहा था, then the currency would have appreciated. Now the currency will not. But एक second, currency तो fix है ना? नहीं, but currency fix निकाल दिया. हाँ, right. So
floating
currency,
floating currency.
then the currency value would have gone down. अगर अगर जो फॉरेन से पैसा अंदर आ रहा था, अनरिस्ट्रिक्टेड अंदर आ रहा था, अगर तुमने उसको रिस्ट्रिक्ट कर दिया तो फॉरेन से पैसा अंदर नहीं आएगा. So in that case, the rupee which was supposed to appreciate will not appreciate now. Somewhere is a fundamental mistake. So speak something. Is it clear? Not clear?
Yeah, yes, I understood.
क्लियर. जो जो पैसा अंदर आ रहा था, तुमने उसको रिस्ट्रिक्ट कर दिया. वही ना, कैपिटल इनटू द कंट्री की बात कर रहे हो, तो जो पैसा अंदर आ रहा था, अज्यूमिंग दैट कि यहाँ पे इंटरेस्ट रेट हायर था, वो पैसा अभी नहीं आएगा. तो अगर पैसा नहीं आएगा तो रुपी which was supposed to appreciate in short term, by the way guys, is not going to appreciate. And rupee which was supposed to depreciate, I think ये उस एंगल से बोला था, the rupee which is supposed to depreciate in the longer term, because higher interest rate हमने देखा है in the level 1 and level 2, higher interest rate leads to currency depreciation in the long term, the uncovered interest rate parity, okay, which doesn't work in short term but works in long term. So if Soham was pointing from that perspective कि long term में the currency depreciate will not happen, then he's right. But उसने long term word लिखा नहीं है. Okay, so
So
बहुत.
I'll need to mention the long term, right,
हाँ.
in
हाँ.
this.
मतलब शॉर्ट टर्म में
Okay.
क्या होगा कि क्या वो पैसा अगर नहीं आएगा तो करेंसी जो अप्रिशिएट होने वाला तो नहीं होगा. और अगर करेंसी अप्रिशिएट होता था शॉर्ट टर्म में, देन इन द लॉन्ग टर्म इट वुड हैव डेप्रिशिएटेड एज पर अनकवर्ड इंटरेस्ट पैरिटी. बट तुमने मेंशन नहीं किया है, तो विल हैव मोर डिमांड फॉर इट देन द सप्लाई ऑफ फॉरेन. ये मुझे समझा ही नहीं. विल हैव मोर डिमांड फॉर इट एंड सप्लाई. व्हाट डज इट मीन?
So the local currency will have like the monetary policy is restrictive. In that scenario, I was considering the
कहाँ पे
fact
mention?
that
कहाँ पे
the
मॉनेटरी
supply
पॉलिसी?
will be lesser.
कहाँ पे मॉनेटरी पॉलिसी रिस्ट्रिक्ट? कहाँ पे मेंशन ही नहीं है. ओके, सो मैक्स 0.5 आउट ऑफ 2. ओके, दैट टू ऑन अ लिटिल बिट काइंड बेसिस, क्योंकि वो लॉन्ग टर्म वर्ड लिखा नहीं है इसके लिए. ओके, क्लियर सोहम? व्हाई डिड आई कट मार्क्स?
Yeah, sir.
इंडिपेंडेंट वर्ड
So
आया नहीं
what
मॉनेटरी पॉलिसी का. मॉनेटरी पॉलिसी इंडिपेंडेंट ये वर्ड आया नहीं है. दैट वाज इंपॉर्टेंट थिंग. एंड सेकंड में ही भूल गया क्या मैं जो बता रहा था कि ओके, द करेंसी वाज नाउ द करेंसी इज फ्लोटिंग, सो द फॉरेन इन्वेस्टर्स विल बी वरीड अबाउट कि व्हाट इफ द करेंसी डेप्रिशिएट. सो उसके लिए जो सप्लाई आने वाला था, दैट सप्लाई विल बिकम लेसर. And because of that, the interest rates could be different because they ask about the interest rates. So the interest in two countries could be different. Interest rates will be higher and currency will depreciate. कहाँ से पता, मतलब कैसे तुम लोग अज्यूम करो कि इस कंट्री का इंटरेस्ट हायर था?
they have written ऊपर के economy is in contractionary phase in the first para का last line, economic contraction and forecasting low inflation.
बट बट तो हायर इंटरेस्ट रेट कहाँ पे मेंशन किया है इसमें?
No, if
नहीं, ये इफ एंड बट वाला अलग हो गया ना. अब यहाँ पे कहाँ पे मेंशन किया कि हायर इंटरेस्ट रेट है? तो ये जो पॉइंट है ना कि यहाँ पे अज्यूम करके चलो कि इफ इंटरेस्ट रेट्स आर हायर, दे विल कंटिन्यू टू रिमेन हायर because the foreign supply which was supposed to come is now going to become lesser because there would be afraid of currency depreciation. ये पॉइंट प्लीज मेंशन करो. ये वाला पॉइंट ये यहां से नहीं पता चल रहा है. तुम अज्यूम करो कि इफ इंटरेस्ट आर हायर एंड फॉरेन सप्लाई ऑफ कैपिटल विच वाज गोना, अनरिस्ट्रिक्टेड फॉरेन सप्लाई ऑफ कैपिटल विच वाज गोना कम, which would have led to interest rate becoming lower. That's not gonna happen now because of restrictions on the foreign restriction on the foreign capital. So interest rates will not go down. Okay, ये वाला point. And again, currency will appreciate in the long term. So currency will not appreciate in the long term, and hence currency will not depreciate in the currency will not appreciate in the short term, and hence currency will not depreciate in the long term. Nowhere, frankly. So again, if I have to be kind, then 0.5 out of 2 for this. Blue किसका आंसर था?
My answer, sir.
Clear, no?
Yes, sir, understood, sir.
I think Zenny. The currency isn't fixed anymore, so the Eastland can pursue independent monetary policy. ठीक है, word तो आया. As of now, I don't know whether she's clear with what she have written it or not. As of now, but I have to give her mark. That's what I'm saying. The point is, ये जो बोलते हैं ना कि अगर keywords लिखो, तो at this point of time अगर जेनी मुझे मुझे I don't know whether जेनी knows the stuff or not कि what does like जो expression मैंने बोला. But the moment this word comes, I have to give her as an examiner 1 mark, minimum, half mark. The interest rate will be determined by interaction of demand and supply curves. The external linkage will weaken since there is no fixed. Okay, this is fine. That means he's trying to say currency could appreciate or depreciate, which is fine. I'll give 0.5 marks for this. But वही जो फॉरेन से सप्लाई आने वाला था वो बंद हो जाएगा। तो जो इंटरेस्ट रेट्स आर गोना बी डिफरेंट, ये वाला पॉइंट आया नहीं है। इंटरेस्ट विल बी
Okay.
डिटरमाइंड बाय इंटरेक्शन ऑफ डिमांड एंड सप्लाई, विच इज फाइन, बट द इंटरेस्ट रेट विच वर सपोज टू कन्वर्ज, नाउ दे आर नॉट गोना कन्वर्ज। फॉरेन सप्लाई विच वाज गोना कम and that was gonna be reducing, assuming interest rates are higher, and foreign supply which are gonna come and that was gonna reduce the interest rate, ये पॉइंट आया नहीं है। So now
Okay.
this conversion will not happen because foreign supply will not come. So I'm deducting 0.5 marks for that. I have to give her 1 mark for this, and extended linkages will weaken because the currency is not going to. I mean, the currency was fixed. Now the currency is floating. So, uh, fine. Any doubt? Jenny, any doubt in evaluation or
Uh,
any doubt in general?
got it.
Yeah, Meet, you're saying something, sir, about the return economy, about I think you're basically. क्या है समझा नहीं मुझे।
No, so above they have written that the economic is in contractionary phase. So because of weak economic activity and if the exchange rate are floating, so the currency is expected to depreciate. Now, मतलब if we connect these two dots.
नहीं नहीं करना है, कनेक्ट कोई मतलब ये इससे तुम हायर इंटरेस्ट रेट अज्यूम नहीं कर सकते।
No, lower interest rate now because people, consumer would delay the consumption. So because of which business activity would be
ये
low.
तुम बहुत डॉट्स कनेक्ट कर रहे हो। ये मतलब कंट्रैक्शन है तो देयर बी लेसर मनी विद द पीपल, सो दे विल कंज्यूम लेसर, सो
Hmm.
आरबीआई विल रिड्यूस इट। ये बहुत सारे डॉट है, यहाँ पे फोकस इस पे था।
अच्छा.
ठीक है, मूव ऑन टू द
Hmm.
नेक्स्ट वन। पुट योर आंसर्स इन द chat section of the shift case number 3, but first let me explain and then you put your answers. Scenario 3, shift in the investor's belief towards lack of full credibility. So now is that point which I was talking about at the start, ki even if even if the exchange rate is fixed, even if the exchange rate is fixed and the free flow of capital is allowed, okay, still there could be a doubt ki what if the peg breaks. Interest rate in US is 5%, and interest rate in India will have to be more than that because there is a possibility that what the currency could depreciate. Although it is pegged, but there is a possibility that currency could depreciate. तो अगर ये रिस्क है, तो ये रिस्क कितना ज्यादा है इसके हिसाब से the weaker currency का interest rate would be higher. So although there is a peg, but there is a possibility that the peg will not be in force, or peg will not remain in force for the entire duration. There is possibility that the peg could break and the currency could depreciate. And for that risk, the investors would ask for a premium. So the interest rate in the weaker currency will still be not converging, but they'll be still little bit higher than the interest rate in the stronger currency. तो ये stronger currency, weaker currency word आना चाहिए explanation में. And for the risk of currency peg breaking, the weaker currency will attract a higher interest rate. ये point आया, then only I'll give full marks. Okay, there is a possibility that a peg could break, ये word आना चाहिए, and hence the weaker currency could depreciate, ये वाला point नहीं है तो चलेगा, and hence weaker currency requires a additional risk premium, and hence interest rate in weaker currency would be higher than the stronger currency, ये point आना चाहिए। and exchange rate, again exchange rate का जो linkages था, exchange rate could possibly depreciate if the peg breaks in the weaker currency. Exchange of weaker currency could break in case the peg breaks. Okay, let's check what answer you guys have given. कॉपिंग मुर्तजा आंसर बिकॉज वो लास्ट में अभी दिखा। और किसी ने आंसर मेंशन नहीं किया, मुझे सिर्फ मुर्तजा ने किया। अदर्स गो फॉर इट टू इवैल्यूएट लाइक फ्यू मोर आंसर्स। अगर इस मुर्तजा आंसर, दीपा ने तो बहुत ऐसे ही लिख दिया है। लेट्स सी, दिस इज दीपा आंसर। Okay, interest rates will increase and currency will depreciate as the investors lose confidence. Weaker currency would have been better, but ठीक है चलेगा। As investors lose confidence and interest rates will increase. Uh, चलेगा मतलब for risk premium ये word आया नहीं। If they feel that a weaker currency will feel to be fixed, चलेगा चलेगा चलेगा। I'll give 2 on 2 for this. Although there was थोड़ा सा answer could have been more perfect, but interest rate will increase and be higher than the interest rate of the stronger currency
Okay.
for the risk that the peg may not be maintained. Okay, और वो लिखा है तुमने
Okay.
for the peg and hence the weaker currency could depreciate. Okay, so perfect, good, but थोड़ा सा better framing would have been better, but 2 on 2. I mean, if I'm a strict examiner, still I have to give you 2 on 2.
Okay, sir.
ये किसका था? मुर्तजा का था ना?
Yes, sir. Yellow wala is mine.
Okay, blue one is Dipasha. Investor lose confidence that the peg will remain permanent. ये लिखने की जरूरत नहीं थी दीपाशा, but ठीक है। Anyways, if investors believe the fixed exchange rate lacks credibility, they may expect future devaluation. Perfect. Okay, future devaluation is the correct word of Eastland currency. Assuming it's weaker. I don't know if it was mentioned weaker. Assuming weaker दिखा नहीं, तो वो अज्यूम करिए कि नॉर्थलैंड इज स्ट्रॉन्गर एंड ईस्टलैंड इज वीकर। Dipasha, better you write that. Okay, better write that assuming Eastland was a weaker currency. But anyways, to compensate for higher currency expected currency depreciation, under currency interest rate rise above Northland. Okay, pressure on the currency peg increases, capital outflows and speculative attacks. Okay, my God. Okay, therefore interest rate linkages weakens. Okay, because the risk premium would be emerging, and exchange rate linkage also weakens because the peg loses credibility and may eventually fail, and its currency could depreciate. आया क्या वो पॉइंट? करेंसी could, हाँ आया है, currency depreciation risk. She gets 2 on 2. Okay, so currency depreciate, peg break, currency depreciate, ये वाला point, and because of the currency depreciation or because of the possibility of currency peg breaking, the weaker currency will have a risk, and hence the weaker currency's interest rate would be higher than the stronger currency interest rate. Is it clear, guys? Raise hand, please. Like the explanation, both of them have got 2 on 2 in this case. Good. तो मेरे ख्याल से ये जो 6 मार्क्स के क्वेश्चन था, ये टोटल 6 मार्क का क्वेश्चन था। मेरे ख्याल से यहाँ पे इफ यू आर लाइक प्रॉपरली प्रिपेयर्ड 4 out of 6 was possible. Okay, I believe 4 out of 6 was gettable in this case. Or even worst case, I would say 3 out of 6 was surely gettable in this case. If you have understood, if you have just followed that lecture, कि to maintain the, I'm sorry, कि if you want to maintain the independence of monetary policy, that means if you want to have a different interest rate vis-a-vis the interest in the other country, then you need to either peg your currency so that basically, no, एक second. You need to allow your currency to fluctuate. Sorry, क्या होगा? Peg किया तो वो लोग आके इन्वेस्ट करेंगे ना। Sorry, either you need to allow your currency to fluctuate or you need to stop them from investing by restricting the capital flows. Okay, Ishan, if this point is clear, if you want to maintain the independence of your monetary policy, that is to have different interest rate, either allow the currency to fluctuate and let them have a fear that your currency could depreciate, so they will not invest, or secondly, restrict the capital flows itself. Okay, perfect. Okay, good.